what about those? We saw some reactions immediately after how many were they? 184 MPs, largely from Kenya Kwanza, of course with the exception of the Githunguri MP, Gathoni wa Mushomba, supporting the bill, and 88 lawmakers, largely from Azimio, opposing the bill. We saw a couple of business people saying that this will negatively impact the business. We saw Buzeki saying he now has to downsize, and all this. We are having premonitions of the cost of living going high, the price of basic commodities going high because of manufacturing and all that, prices of petroleum products. Is that nothing to be worried about?
Again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I have to say it's a consequence of irresponsible borrowing and profligate spending from the last administration.
Okay.
We are now carrying the consequences, and it's unfortunate. There's hardly anything. There's no wriggle room. Yeah, this is what this is a burden that Kenyans have to bear.
All right.
Yeah, tough message, but choices have consequences. We've made our choices. These are the consequences now.
Annabelle, Leonard talks about the 16% that was proposed in during the last administration, and it was vehemently opposed. And leading that chorus were current Kenya Kwanza lawmakers. Then they were in. They have one of the Jubilee have wings, but right now they have doubled it to 16%. What do you make of this?
I think by now we know that he who pays the piper calls the tune. It's already established that a good number do I call them? Yes, a good number of the members of parliament in Kenya Kwanza find themselves in a position where they have to face the reality that they got in by virtue of riding on their party leader's name. So if the party leader says kila mtu left, kila mtu left. If the party leader says kila mtu right, kila mtu right. Again, there's something they keep referring to even as they've been making their appointments, which is loyalty is rewarded. And threats had already been issued that we are waiting to see which of you is going to try and go against the party position or the coalition's position, and then the consequences will follow you. And as Leonard has rightly put it, choices have consequences. Gathoni wa Mushomba made her decision. Already she's putting out tweets to show that she's suffering the consequences. I believe her counterparts felt they could not make the bold decision that she made because they did not want to put up with the consequences, which now begs the question, where does that leave the Kenyan voter in the context of the role of parliament to check executive? Because it means that there are scenarios where executive is going to make decisions or is going to make moves that they need to be called out on, and we will find ourselves in a predicament as Kenyans because we do not have a strong National Assembly. So again, now we have to ask ourselves, what caliber of people do we have in the August House?
Prof,
yes.
From an economist's point of view, 16% VAT on petroleum products, is that too high?
Yes, it is, because given the context of doing business, you ask even that traders are complaining how it's going to affect them. You have to know that Kenyans are almost 89% traders. And trading has got three main costs. One, cost of goods sold. Where will you buy them from? They will go up. Secondly, operating cost, movement, fuel, that will be highly costly. Third, cost of capital. The government is borrowing 20 billion shillings every Thursday from the local market. So they are competing with the Kenyans for that source of capital. So that will become trouble. And also look at this country. We proposed in the memorandum by saying, if you come from Mandera, do you know the farthest point from Mombasa in this country is Mandera? So with that increment, Mandera will pay the highest in fuel. Mandera already has got some very clear disadvantages. The municipal measurement shows that 20.7% of people in Mandera are under poverty. Of course, Turkana does 45.7% are in poverty. When they are receiving fuel last, remember, I used to live in a place called Tarasa. You used to read a newspaper 3 days after the paper. There was no internet connectivity. There was no phone connectivity.
Right.
So you are disadvantaged. Even fuel comes latest, and they are very expensive. We are talking about equalization fund. You cannot equalize that thing using that equalization fund. So I'm trying to say the government could have looked at, if I was president, I could have looked at this economy very differently, because the economy of Nairobi is not the same as the economy of Mandera and Turkana. And they have not found a way to support those people in a way that they can actually find life worth living. And I can tell you, with those figures they are looking at, people in Migori, only 6% poverty. They are not compared to the guys who have 45% poverty. Fuel will be the same. You understand? So for me, I find it punitive. And the fact that Nairobi could have actually been told even to pay 1 shilling more per person in Nairobi, you could push that benefit to Mandera or to Turkana to help people to come out of poverty. That survey, which is done by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, why do we pay Kenya National Bureau of Statistics so much money to run statistics that we cannot use to make economic decisions? So what I'm trying to say here is that the government is focusing on politics, feeding itself, and not really concerned about solving people's economic situation. As an economist, we believe that a government should spend to the point of even having budget deficit to keep everybody consuming basic needs. Because when basic needs are not being consumed, economy cannot grow. And the most important thing you have to look there, Ben, with Uhuru's economic, let's say, budget and the rest, the economy was projected to grow at 6.1%. With this guy, the economy will grow at, the budget policy statement, which is a PBS, is going to grow at 5.6%, down from 6.1%. Yet, the taxes have gone up, the budget has gone up, but the growth has gone down, which means that we are paying more for low growth. The other budget, we are going to pay less for higher growth. And that's why the Kenya Kwanza government, whatever they are going with it, we wait to see. But as economists, we can predict that it's going to be hard. And I don't believe that running an economy without economists running economy is something decent worth picking as a country. But Kenyans have to pay because we are more political than economics, and we need to be more economists than politicians, and then we can actually have the leaders we deserve.